I'd like to call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Would you give the invocation, sir?
Please stand and join us in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we ask that you join us this evening, protect and guide all of our thought processes as we attempt to lead this community.
Okay. Proclamation for April as Child Abuse Prevention Month, as requested by the Tyler County Child Welfare Board. This proclamation by Ivanhoe City Mayor Skip Blackstone of Tyler County, whereas there were 310,582 reports of child abuse or neglect last year in Texas, and whereas there were 9,965 children removed from child abuse or neglect last year in Texas, and whereas there were 58,120 victims confirmed reports of child abuse or neglect last year in Texas, and whereas there were 173 child deaths as a result of child abuse or neglect last year in Texas, whereas there were 267 reports of child abuse or neglect last year in Tyler County, and whereas there were 41 confirmed victims of child abuse or neglect last year in Tyler County, and whereas there were 13 children removed from their homes because of child abuse or neglect last year in Tyler County, whereas child abuse and neglect is a common problem, it's a community problem affecting the current and future quality of life of a community, and whereas child abuse prevention is a community responsibility and finding solutions depends upon involvement among all people, and whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs that benefit children and their families, whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community, and whereas everyone in the community should become more aware of child abuse prevention and all citizens should become more involved in supporting families to provide safe, nurturing environments for their children, giving them the opportunity to grow up to be caring, contributing members of the community. Now, therefore, I, Ivanhoe City Mayor Skip Blackstone of Tyler County, Texas, by virtue of authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in Tyler County. I also proclaim that Sunday, April the 28th, 2024, to be Blue Sunday, and in so doing, urge all citizens to join in a national effort to raise awareness about the importance of preventing child abuse and showing support by wearing blue in support of the prevention of child abuse and neglect. That concludes the proclamation. Now then, we have the minutes from the special meeting on March the 12th.
I make a motion that we accept those minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. The minutes from the regular meeting on March 21st.
I make a motion to accept said minutes.
I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I had some speaker notes for the IPOA meeting Saturday. They're kind of out of date now. The Charmaine Dam, we did ground penetrating radar and soundings. The ground penetrating radar gave us the area of the voids that we found, and there were numerous voids. We did soundings that gave us the depth to give us the volume or the size of the voids. And then we got 12 inches of rain, and all that data is out the window. We spent $27,000, and we're developing a plan to address all of the voids before the act of God came in and swept over the dam. Mill Creek and Sir Henry will run from the northeast side of Galahad Dam, or Galahad, the north end of Galahad, all the way to the highway. Had that road been complete, nobody would have been stranded on the peninsula or around Galahad. I'm trying to push forward and get that done as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we don't have enough money to be able to pave the entire road. Parts of it will be paved, and then David Marshall and his crew will come back and put road base down to connect the missing pieces. Ultimately, it will be a continuous road from all the way along the north edge of the city to the highway. We've closed the sale on the 10 parcels of land from IPOA that was part of that $11.4 million grant. We're getting ready to put shovels in the ground in the next few months. There was an easement that was needed on Sir Henry because of a marsh that would not allow the road to be continuous. It crossed across two lots that belong to IPOA and part of the reserve that's used for the upper end of the Lake Tristan. We had to go to IPOA to get the easement because the marsh had to be cleared, and that was an unexpected $58,000 in expense that we had to find a way to avoid. So we paid the surveyor $7,700 to get the easement meets and bounds, and we're ready to move forward. Sam Houston Electric will have to move one of their power poles. We've had conversation with them, and they're ready to move forward. They just want the dirt to get a little drier so that they'll have no problem with the pole. Construction, I'm going to leave this for you, David. Good news on Ivanhoe Drive. Joe Blacksher and Judge Powers have signed the contract with the GLO on April the 8th. Now the environmental study will begin. Our county commissioner has earmarked $1.2 million to come in and pave parts of Ivanhoe Drive. None of the dollars go as far as they used to go. We're still going to have to pave part of it. Originally, we were going to be able to do the whole thing, and we were too far into it. Our commissioner came in and was willing to do that, but we were tied to the specific area because of the specifics of the grant. I'm hopeful that the environmental study that LJA had conducted on our part will be adequate for Judge Powers. As a result of the meetings that I've had with the Texas Department of Emergency Management and our Tyler County Emergency Management Office, I'm concerned that we're going to either get limited or no funds to help us with the dam. We're going to be pretty much on our own. To that point, I wrote identical letters to Trent Ashby and to Brian Babin. I'm writing this today asking for your assistance, for any assistance you might be able to lend. As you know, Tyler County experienced a disastrous amount of rainfall April the 9th and 10th. Many residents of the city of Ivanhoe were stranded in their homes with no way out. Charmaine Dam ended up with 2 feet of water over the entire length of the dam, causing damage. With all the money being sent overseas, I'm asking if there's any way that some of that money could be diverted to our local communities, specifically to repair this dam. We have Tyler County Emergency Management as well as Texas Division of Emergency Management assessing damages. My concern is that we will not have the resources to be able to keep this main road artery open. I don't think that, I do believe that we're going to be able to reopen the dam. I'm just begging for help. One of the previous meetings, I sent a request to our county commissioner, Joe Blackshear. I said, good morning. With the amount of rain received in Ivanhoe on April 9th and 10th, I'm requesting county assistance in addressing and repairing some of our roads. Many of the roads have become impassable. Any assistance that could be rendered would be greatly appreciated. Commissioners Court met Monday. They voted on it. They have all agreed to render aid for the next 90 days. We will have the access to a large dump truck as well as a motor grader and an operator for both. In this case, the operator will be Joe Blackshear. And David Marshall will be keeping track of the work that he's doing, the man hours, the machine hours, the raw materials that will be used on the road. A lot of our raw material was wet and unusable. David Marshall has moved forward with getting dry material in here and keeping those receipts separate so that we can turn them into the Emergency Management Office for reimbursement. That's about all I have. That's a mouthful, but Mr. Zachary, are you stepping in for Chief Drumm?
Yes, sir, I am. Try again.
You see a green light on the top, on the very top.
Right there next to the button.
There it is. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
sometimes technology gets the better of me.
As it does all of us.
Okay, report for March. We had 37 calls for service, made 48 traffic stops, 26 citations, 26 warnings were issued, made 1 arrest, code enforcement actions were 10, agency assist were 6. And on an annual number, our annual numbers calls for service were 217. We had 251 traffic stops. We issued 125 citations and 160 warnings. And the high bidder of $5,100, the Tahoe has been sold. The Humvee sealed bids will be open tomorrow. And if they're over the reserve, they'll be contacted by Steve Drumm next Monday. Okay. Code enforcement action, total number of cases in 2024 were 20. Number of cases on hold are 2. Active cases are 19. Number of cases closed is 1. Code enforcement is currently working on health and safety issues, have been ongoing for a year or more, and have been given a deadline of May 30th of 2024 to comply before further action is taken.
Is that for the on-site septic systems?
Yes.
So we have signed an agreement with Southwest Water Corporation that if someone's in violation and makes no effort to correct their on-site septic systems, we can turn their water off, and we'll do that. Don't want to do that, but we can't have raw sewage running into the ditches or onto the surface of the land. So this is a big step. We have finally some teeth in our ordinance, and we can enforce it and intend to do so in a fair and compassionate manner, in a legal manner, with giving them plenty of opportunity to make the necessary corrections, or at least show signs of doing so. Thank you, sir. Court activity. For the month of March, the court collected $5,030, and the state received $2,056 of that amount, and the city retained $2,816.18. The activity, having a real judge and a police department has really helped the city in so many ways. We had tickets that were years old. We have people with multiple warrants that have just thumbed their nose at the police department. And having a Judge Jackson has made a world of difference. I also want to thank the the clerk and the deputy clerk for their efforts as well. So now we move to the infamous David Marshall and the Public Works activities. You've got a lot, don't you?
I've got a lot. Everything was fine until the flood. Since that time, there's just not enough hours in the day to do what we have to do. I've worked with FEMA in the past. I've worked with Tatum in the past. I've worked with the state management and met those guys, the emergency management team. I know how they operate. I know what they need. And we have a little bit of a head start on them for that. At this point in time, then I'll get to the other. We have 121 sites that have been photographed by 367 photographs. With that, I started categorizing them into a catalog that they will need a copy of, and along with that has to have street addresses, which way that picture is pointing or showing, north, east, southwest. Also, they want a GPS location for each and every one of those sites. Again, we are a crew of 1, 2, 3
And a half.
and a half. So it's a lot going on, but we are on top of it as best that we can be. I assure you it will get done.
So you added one, and there's one waiting in the wings?
There's one pending, yes. So we'll be up to snuff a little bit better later on.
Not much. There's only so much you can do.
Well, that's true. But we're keeping on top of it. Along with that, we still have 40 to 60 something culverts to put in to stay ahead of the contractors that are still out here doing their jobs. We've got a lot going on.
So, David, what's a realistic expectation once you finish this report of getting any support back, on road damage,
Oh,
based on your experience?
that's a loaded
My experience
question.
was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Here's the challenge, and this is why we're having a meeting Monday from 10 to 12 to talk about damages. For the 4-state area, the threshold to be considered for money is $52 million over the 4-state area.
Oh, wow.
It was 78, and they dropped it to 52. Louisiana's threshold is 18 million. I don't get it. Our threshold is greater than New York's.
Mm-hmm.
Our commissioners are up in arms about it. Our emergency management people are up in arms about it. The Tatum people they're scrambling. That's why they're going door to door to try to collect as much data as they can. And it's very important that if you did encounter damage, that you document it with pictures and get it to us somehow, email, or the app, the iStat app. We've got another one for public work or
The public itself, yeah.
Yeah, the government. It's
Yeah.
the PStat.
Yeah.
It's an app that you can take pictures and upload.
But
Thank you.
I wish I had a better answer.
No,
I wish I had a better answer for all of this, but right now, honestly, it is just too soon for me to tell you
No, that's-
everything's going to be fine, the roads are going to be better than ever. I can't promise that at this point. They will get better. At this point, they can't get much worse after this flood.
Mm-hmm.
But we're working on them, getting all the help that we can. I did talk to Joe Blacksher today.
Good.
And we have agreed on certain items. I'm going to get some more information for him. But to start with, it will be, I believe, a motor grader, dump truck, backhoe, and himself, and I'm not sure who else he has. But we'll get started on that. I think he said the 90 days starts Monday after the commissioners all vote on it again. So you'll see a lot of county folks out here, or county equipment. So don't be alarmed. They're here to help.
This is a first in the history of Ivanhoe to have the county come in here and assist us like this.
We have found everything, of course, from potholes to tunnels now underneath the road, washouts, and when I say washout,
Across the entire dirt road,
across
right?
the entire road.
Many of them are
3 or
impassable.
4 foot deep on some of them. Cave-ins everywhere as far as on the road. It's just a mess. But it's been a mess before. We'll get it squared away this time as well. Moving on to a sunnier day. The contractors are out here, as I mentioned. We're keeping up with them. We're doing all the culverts to save some money. At this time, as you can imagine, they've had 3 to 4 weeks of weather delays. But that has not slowed them down. If they can't get in one area, they're in constant contact. Can we go over here? Can we do this? And yes, whatever it takes to keep them busy and keep them out here. At this time, and I've got the details if anybody wants to see them. It's rather boring, but they send a work schedule every week of exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, the date they're going to do it, and they stick to it unless weather proves otherwise. They're on track. They're good.
So we've had a request for a look out 6 months of which roads are going to be done and what the detours are going to be. And we don't know what we're going to do next week because of the rain and the weather and the likes.
Yeah, you know, I could have
So
told
it's-
you a lot more a week ago,
Yes, sir.
but one little incident
Yes, sir.
shook the tree on that one. That's almost an impossibility.
So do you have any idea on Sir Henry?
Sir Henry, at this time, Sir Henry, Mill Creek,
Yes,
so
sir.
forth.
Yes, sir.
They have, they were working on 22nd Street, but to get Sir Henry and Mill Creek done faster, they have pulled the crew off of that and are working 100% at this time over on Mill Creek.
Oh, good.
So they're getting it after that.
So if we had that road complete from one end to the other,
Mhm.
nobody on the peninsula would have been stranded during this event.
Mhm.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. We've waited a long time for that.
Yes, sir.
Completed roads, Galahad Loop is now complete. And by complete, I mean they came in, they did the cement stabilization, mixed it with the limestone, I think 4 inches to 6 inches of limestone. Came back over that with the quickset oil sand, which is a new mixture that they're using. As much as I didn't like it at first, it seems to be holding up much better than I thought it would. It's also less expensive. We're not cutting corners unless we have to, but if we have to, I want to make sure that the material that we're using is going to hold up. And I know myself and the contractors have butted heads on this, but it seems to be coming out okay.
And that's in lieu of asphalt.
Yes, yes.
It is a form of asphalt.
It's form of asphalt.
It
improved
is
version.
a form of
Yeah.
asphalt.
Don't let the name fool you. It's just what
Yeah.
they decided to call it.
Understood.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cities locally around this area
Yeah.
that have used it.
Other counties.
Yeah, and works.
Just
works
new
pretty good.
technology.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
president of Texas Materials said he wished he hadn't have included the term oil sand in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
If he
because it-
fits about that.
Yeah, because that makes you think it's not true asphalt, but it is.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Lake Camelot Circle is now complete. That includes all the shouldering, all the ditches, everything's done.
So when you say Galahad is complete, what you mean is that they've finished the work that they were scheduled to do.
Sure. Yeah,
Galahad
yeah.
Loop is not completely
No, it is
paved,
not.
so that, I don't want there to be any misunderstanding between complete and having finished the work that they were supposed to do.
It's a flood mitigation grant. We had really not a whole lot of input, if any, as to where these areas would be.
Correct.
And unfortunately, I've gotten a lot of calls, not unfortunately, I've gotten a lot of calls that, why are you doing 100 foot and then skipping 25 and going and doing 500 foot? I have no choice on it.
And
Feds
once the
came in and
grant
said,
is
"This is
issued, you can't make any changes to it. You have to follow the letter of the
Yeah.
of the grant.
Yeah.
Newton County, when the new judge came in, I don't mean to steal your thunder.
No, go ahead.
They had 3 houses that they were supposed to demolish as part of a grant, and they didn't get it done in the 90-day time period that they were supposed to. The government came and clawed back $1 million. They had to pay back $1 million. So we don't want to step outside of what the parameters are of the grant and what has been specified, or what work has been specified.
Yeah, just be thankful. I mean, any pavement's better than none at all.
Absolutely.
We'll take it.
And you can talk about the advantages too, and the reduction in raw materials that we're having to purchase.
Well, the more that gets paved, the less money we have to spend on patching material and limestone and things like that. And it's really beginning to show
Yeah.
on our budget. So hopefully that will continue.
Anyway, I don't mean to.
One quick question, David.
Go ahead.
As far as
Go ahead, turn it the other way.
the roads that have been done with grant money, taking into account the act of God, the rain event, in the event that any of those roads are damaged, would that fall under warranty work, or would we have to go out for flood repair, flood recovery monies? How would that work?
I haven't had time to get with the contractor on that. They're very helpful and they're willing to help, and they have gone out of their way, but I think probably not warranty.
But you could tell them about what they did on Durwood.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the road was failing in
In some
certain spots
places.
on Durwood.
Yeah.
That road has been there since the previous administration. I'm not going to say corners were cut, but the asphalt, instead of being 2 inches, which is a bare minimum, was 1 inch thick. It began to fail in 2 spots that were rather lengthy, and asked the contractors for some help, and they said, you know, we have everything out here anyway. We'll swing over there. We'll take care of those 2 areas,
That's fantastic.
which they did, and did a good job.
At no cost to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's still, if you go through, it might have a slight bowl, but they're going to come back when they do the rest of 28th and some of these other streets, and they have the material here to come over it with some more hot mix to smooth it out just right.
Beautiful. Thank you.
They did a good job over there. Went out of the way, as a matter of fact. They went down, I think, 8 inches of base, and it was different material. Should be a lot stronger. A lot stronger. Galahad Loop, Lake Camelot Circle. Like I said, Mill Creek is in the process right now of clearing. They've got all the trees cut, the path there. Of course, they've got to remove all the debris, the wood chips and so forth, before they put anything down. If not, any of that rotted wood at a later date would begin to show itself as little bitty holes. They're moving the chips out as fast as they can. Right now, you can imagine what shape that is out there. It's going to be a little bit before they can get back, but they're chomping at the bits to get back. In the meantime, we moved them on to another project. 14th Street a section of that is going to be paved. At this time, we're not ready with the culverts, but they can still go in there and dig the ditches and again be ahead of the game. So that's what they're doing this week. Next week they'll go back and pave all of 28th, not all of 28th Street, the section of 28th Street that is scheduled to be paved. They've already done the road prep, the limestone, everything they need to. It's just time to go back in next week and pave it. That's really about all I have. I do have one little bit of information. I've gotten a lot of calls. You know, we're going to be able to do this. Or is the FEMA going to give us money? I don't know. I've not talked to FEMA yet. We've got to go through the channels. I did ask the Texas Emergency Management and explain that what we are doing at this point is an emergency repairs just to get the road open. You were talking about the threshold that we have to meet. Just to give you an idea, and then I'll let it go. A quarter mile. It's 2,640 something square yards. If it was a dirt road and you just went out here and the contractor put 4 inches of base on it, would be $60,000 for a quarter mile.
And that's just material.
That's just them
That's
putting
just
the
base.
4 inches of base.
That's just base.
If they come in with base over the dirt, no stabilization, no nothing, and they put 2 inches of the quickset oil sand on it, that quarter mile jumps to $80,000. If they come in and do a complete reclamation of the pulverizing, the cement stabilized, which they're doing a lot of in here, you're looking at $260,000 for a quarter mile. You might as well say $500,000 for a half mile. That's a lot of money. These roads are not cheap. Hopefully we can get all the help we need. So far we are. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. All of y'all that are involved with this, I do appreciate it. Okay? Any questions?
I kind of stole your thunder on the dams.
I'm kind of glad that you did. I'm about up to here with paperwork.
So, okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
So I've been told that everyone in the state up to the governor knows about Charmaine Dam, and that's the biggest item, single item in the 4-county area that's being scrutinized right now. That's it. The road crew's doing a great job, and we just can't move fast enough, that's all. Ms. Williams, you're up next.
P&Z was still looking at what you sent back to them, and they will have something ready for next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Gregory.
The Tyler County Appraisal District meeting was canceled, ergo nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Item 7, consider for discussion the action and the resignation of Council Member David Herrington, and the nomination of someone to take his place. We've had some discussion, but
I nominate Lloyd Olmsberg. He's been a longtime resident since 2013. He has a history of working 17 years with the Planning and Zoning Commission of Big Fork, Montana. 15 of those years he was chairman. Lifelong educator, coach, did some work with the excavation industry. He is currently not here tonight because he's wrapping up some personal matters in Montana. But he will be here moving forward, and as such, I would like to nominate him as a candidate to fill the open position.
Make a motion.
Second.
to second,
To second, yeah.
all in favor?
So,
Do you want any discussion?
Discussion.
I mean, there's a discussion, so we are voting on his appointment for
Yes,
what
sir.
will be a balance of the term,
Correct.
That's
which
correct.
is 18 months,
Correct.
Correct.
correct? Oh. Okay, so, I mean, I personally know Lloyd, so,
You do?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good guy. He lives on my street, right down the street, so.
Yeah.
Is he aware
Yes.
of the nomination?
We both have had conversation with him, and he's more than willing to step up and fulfill the obligation of city councilman.
Okay.
He wants to preserve our way of living here in Ivanhoe. He doesn't want to change it into a major metropolis. He wants to preserve what is Ivanhoe.
And he meets all the requirements as required by,
He's been a
the state?
permanent resident here for well over a year. That's the main criteria.
Awesome. And we had some other names came up, and some of
Yes.
that, some of the issues with those names were residency requirements.
They had not been a permanent resident here for long enough.
Right. Which is, I actually looked that up, I think it's 6 months for a council
12
member.
months.
1 year for a mayor, maybe 6 months for a council
I
member.
think it's 12 months. 12 months for council as well.
Okay. Okay. I'm ready to vote.
You ready to vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome aboard, Lloyd, wherever you are.
He is currently in Montana.
I know.
We'll give him a call this afternoon
I know.
after the meeting and
That's fine.
welcome him to the show.
Consider for discussion the disaster aid request. I've already gone over that from top to bottom. I've sent emails to Brian Babin and Trent Ashby. I need to send one to Senator Nichols as well. I will do that in the morning. So this is just a bullet point. We've hired a fellow named Carson Gilly to, and Marshall Dunman. He hasn't been hired yet, has he? No, not yet. But we're getting close to it. So this is kind of backdoor, consider for discussion, action, approval of Carson Gilly and Marshall Dunham for Public Works laborers, new hires. It's kind of hard to do all this hiring and the likes when it has to be presented to council in minute detail. But we've already made the decision. We brought him on board. They've done the drug test, the background check. We were looking for somebody for 18 months. I just need y'all to say that I didn't do anything wrong.
My take is, as long as all legal requirements have been met and he has had an opportunity to interview with the head of the department he's going to be working with, I support our department head's decision-making, and as such, I don't know if you need a motion or...
That's all I need is a motion.
I so move. We hire him.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Haley, you're up. It's your turn. Talk slow.
Jord. Okay. So the financial documents, including the bank and the tax class statements, were sent out to council on the April 11th. They were a little later this month than usual. We had some things to iron out. Along with the accountant's financial reports and reconciliation details for each account. The state comptroller direct deposited $6,881 on April 12th for sales and use taxes that were collected in February and reported to the comptroller in March. Last year, the same month, we pulled $6,482. Last month, the sales tax deposit was $6,188. March ad valorem taxes were received April 11th, totaling $70,668, with $58,202 going to maintenance and operations and $12,466 for the interest and sinking fund. The calculated balance of delinquent taxes stands at $289,723 as of March 31st, which is the accumulated amount from 2010 to present. The calculated balance of unpaid taxes, penalties, and interest for Ivanhoe North has remained at $5,301. The total pledging at Citizen State Bank did not exceed the $250,000 FDIC limit, and therefore CSB did not pledge this month. The Texas class interest rate remained at 5.2% in that area. It never went under or over 5.2 for the entire month. The account monthly report for March arrived April 11th and was sent out this morning after receiving clarification on a couple of line items. After review, totals for the various department budgets are correct. The bank statements have been reconciled, and I do believe the March financials can be approved. The clarification, go ahead and go over that, was there was an expense that was logged through our CPA what looked to be an expense was actually whenever we went in for the lease last month that the council approved for Chief Drumm's new truck, we did the lease, $15,000 a year for the next 4 years, but through municipal accounting, we have to log that obligation as a debit. It's not a debit. We haven't actually paid anything on the truck and won't until next fiscal year, but since we assumed the lease on it this year, it has to be logged in the budget. So there is a line item that does look like it's very off, but it's actually not. And there's an email in here from the CPA explaining it.
That's line item 6076.02, Marshall vehicle, that's
Yes.
52,000.
And I believe I put the journal entries in there as well for it. Yes, I put the journal entries in the council packet as well, and I did highlight the notes for the truck. But it looks like a debt, but it's an obligation.
Yeah, it screws up the logic of the numbers.
It does. It does. So, but other than that, everything is correct. All the budget line items are correct. I went through everything and everything adds up like it's supposed to.
So are we ready to approve these?
I'm ready to, I think they can be approved, yes.
I make a motion that we approve the March financial report.
Have a second.
Second.
Are you, have you cruised through them yet?
Yeah, I
Any
was just looking
questions?
one more time, but I think we're
Give us a
fine.
moment for discussion. Did you see the vehicle?
Yeah, she showed it to me earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it really screws up the operating income down here.
Yeah, I really like the noting system that you used in the journal. I think that helps people that come back in the future to look at some of this, so that's a really good job. I
What's
like.
that?
She, just an expanded description in the journal on why
Oh,
money
oh.
was moved around, so.
Yeah.
She did a really good job of that, so I appreciate that. I think that helps
Yeah.
historical review of these types of things, so
Thank you.
thank you. No, it looks good. I'm ready.
Passes the test?
I think so.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
All
you.
We have a-
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So, we have nothing to go into executive session about. We've conducted all of our business out here on top of the table. Is anybody ready to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.